Yes, footy fans, welcome back to another video. It has been a long time. We are deep into the off season now. We're coming up towards Christmas, and it's been almost a month since the AFL draft. Can you believe it? A full month since North Melbourne won the AFL draft. Just kidding, but this is a very special video today. It is the West Coast Eagles Best 23. All of the news and updates that I've picked up across the preseason, I'm going to put into this video, as well as just putting my own opinions on some of those new draftees that have come in and the new recruits. West Coast are one of the more intriguing clubs in the AFL to do their best 23 because they've had such a big overturn of that list over the last 12 months. So I'm super excited for this. But first, before we get stuck into the video, we need to have a word from the sponsor in order for you to get your best 23 offer this Christmas. I've noticed recently that almost 20% of all Dylan Alexander viewers are watching the content from overseas or are currently situated abroad for whatever reason. And you'll know from watching football or being overseas that if you're on those streaming platforms such as KO or Fox Footy, the really popular ones, you're going to need a VPN service to be able to utilize those. You're going to have to be placed back in Australia, and NordVPN can do that better than anyone. The thing that I love about NordVPN is the ease of use. All you've got to do is simply select the country. It'll even give you a drop down of cities and make it that local for you. You select that, it'll change where your computer kind of understands you are through the IP address, and you can watch football from wherever you are in the world. Now, the main reason that we are going to love NordVPN is that football watching experience, but it actually extends to a lot of other parts of your life. If you watch Netflix, if you watch Amazon Prime, any of those major streaming platforms, you can place yourself in different countries, which actually opens up a completely new catalog of material. Not to mention, if you are planning an overseas holiday anytime soon, you can put yourself in the destination where you're booking that flight and get the best possible prices available. Today, from watching this video, you have an exclusive offer for 4 extra months free. Go down into the description and into the comments there. You'll be able to see the link. Click on that link, and if you sign up, it is 4 extra months free. And don't forget, if you do sign up with NordVPN, it's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So there's basically no risk here at all. Overall, it's a bit of a no-brainer, and let's get back into the West Coast Eagles backline. Who is going to be in this team? So we'll start with defense, as I usually do when I go through best 23s, as it is now, 22, 23, whatever that may be. So let's hone in here on the balance of this defense. Now, there are some other options that we have that could be in this team, but I've played it relatively safe here. Now, with the 2 key position guys, the main ones, I have gone with Harry Edwards and Tyler Young, the new recruit over from Richmond, Tyler Young. I think he is going to add a lot of experience and leadership to this best 23 for West Coast. They're really crying out for another big-bodied, tall defender after McGovern retired, those sorts of players. They need some more leadership back there, particularly in the key position players. They've got some leadership from the smaller guys, but this will really shore up their defense, I feel. And I think this can really unlock Harry Edwards and take him to the next level, because I said it last year in my preseason predictions. I think Harry Edwards does have a lot of quality. He's an enormous guy, very tall, very heavy bodied, and really equipped to be able to play on the opposition's biggest key forwards. And there's not a lot of guys that are, physiologically adept like Harry Edwards. So I think it's a really big year for him. And Tyler Young can, with his defensive and his competitive attributes, I think he can unlock a lot of what Harry Edwards does. You've then got Ruben Jinby and Brady Hoff there as those 2 sort of medium lockdown defenders. Now, those 2 players have been thrown around into different positions, particularly Brady Hoff in 2025, spent a lot of time in the midfield, getting some more offensive traits into his game. And I think that's going to be really important for him here, because we know what Ruben Jinby can do. He had a borderline All-Australian year in 2025, where he was able to play on those more unique type key position forwards, Jeremy Cameron's, the Charlie Curnow types. So he's got the ability to play on much taller types, but also he can play on those smalls, and his athleticism sort of unlocks an extra quality in him. He can get more offensive on his opposition player, make them think a little bit more and not just lock down, but he also has that ability to run with them and get up the ground with them and just compete physically with them, which a lot of players can't do. So Jimby makes things easier for someone like Hoff to kind of get off and be a bit more of an offensive player, but we know Hoff does have the foundations in his game to play lockdown as well. You look at the best defenses in the competition at the moment, teams like the Brisbane Lions, like the Hawks, those sorts of teams, they have a lot of these medium types, these athletic types that can play on different sorts of players. I think Brady Hoff's quality is better used in defense than in the midfield for next season. And we'll kind of talk that through as we go into the midfield as well. Some really, really important additions here, though, that I think make this defense really, really damaging. And certainly for me, this is the best line for West Coast out of the forwards, the mids, and the backs. The back line is the area where they have most improved in the offseason. Brandon Starcevic comes, who just adds a little bit of maturation, a little bit of experience to this team, and versatile enough that he can step into the midfield as well. Again, the best teams in the competition, they have a lot of players that are very versatile, very functional, and can step into different roles. And Starcevic is no exception here. He's really good with ball in hand. He's got good composure and can step through traffic, but he can also lock down those small players when you come up against the likes of Nick Watson, Dylan Moore, Darcy Jones, Toby Green. These types of players, Starcevic can handle them with his movement and with his nous of the game. And then you bring in Josh Lindsay, the new draftee. I just think he has to play at the start of the season. He is raring to go in an AFL system, and he's the one that really unlocks things. And I've picked him over an experienced player, someone like a Liam Duggan here, because I just think that he offers something a little bit more exceptional with his kicking. He can really unlock opposition defenses, those presses that are going to come at West Coast. He can really absorb that, hit those difficult kicks through the corridor, and set up those offensive plays essentially. So I think this defense now, when you look at the key pillars of Edwards and Young, the mediums of Hoff and Jimby, and then Starcevic brings the experience, Lindsay brings a little bit of flair with his kicking skills. There is a beautiful balance to this defense. And then I've added Elliot Yeo off a halfback flank there, just off the interchange. Now, where Elliot Yeo plays as a primary position in 2026 is going to be up for debate, I suppose. But I just think with his injury history, you do need to kind of nurse him back into this team a little bit. His experience will be very, very needed across halfback. We know he's got that spring and athleticism to him where he can take intercept marks and be a bit of a shield. An added bonus and the leadership that he brings will be awesome for this back six to give it a bit more quality. And it unlocks some other players to play slightly different roles, as we'll see. So I'll move on here to the midfield, which I think it's pretty standard who you would pick in these midfield roles. I've gone with Matt Flynn as the number one ruck. I think that's a fairly obvious call at this point. You've got Bailey Williams and you've got Archer Reed that could fit into that role, but I think Flynn is the most likely to be the pure ruckman, I guess, and one of those other two will fight for the second ruck role. Then I've gone with Harley Reid, Elijah Hewitt, and Tom McCarthy. So it's a very young, a very exciting midfield that I've started here. Now this, as far as balance is concerned, I don't think you're going to roll out this midfield all of the time. It's a very offensive midfield. It's a very exciting midfield. I think it's going to have players like Jack Graham there on the bench that comes in to play a little bit more of a defensive role. You've got experienced players like Tim Kelly, Liam Baker that can come in and play a little bit inside as well. But I just think this is the future of the West Coast midfield. Tom McCarthy played as a halfback last year, but given the players that have come into that back line, the quality that we've seen in Starcevic and Josh Lindsay and Brady Hoff can float back there, I just think that unlocks Tom McCarthy to play a more aggressive transitional midfield role in 2026. You've got the explosiveness of Harley Reid and Elijah Hewitt, that elite speed. Tom McCarthy brings the fast feet, but he's a little bit more of an endurance athlete and someone that can get from contest to contest, fill in those gaps, be a link player, similar to Bailey Smith at Geelong, similar to a Max Holmes even, just someone that gets up and back, continues to work really hard and uses the ball really well going inside forward 50. So I think West Coast will benefit from Tom McCarthy not carrying the ball from the back half, but being a little bit closer to goal and being that, last kick in the chain that sets up plays and ultimately sets up scores. The wingers are going to be really important. I have gone for Jack Hutchinson. I think this definitely is a position that's up for grabs. You've got players like Hamish Davis. You've got players like Bo Allen that could be playing this role. I've gone with Hutchinson just for the a little bit more experience that he has at the moment. He's played a lot more football. They've got a lot of games into him over the last season and a half. So I think this is probably where he lies. He's more of a winger and an athletic player than someone that has forward craft, I feel, even though he does, he has played a lot of his football as a third key tall. I like him on the wing a little bit more. And they got games into him as well last year. He did play inside, and I think that's really important for his development. And then I've slot in Willem Duursma on the other wing. Now, Willem's going to play everywhere. He's going to play a little bit inside. He's going to play across halfback for sure. Maybe he'll play as a forward as well, but I just think he can start here on a wing. He can rotate with other players, come inside and just kind of do his thing, give him some freedom, give him some flexibility to be able to get on the ball in 2026. That is going to be the most important thing for him. He has all the attributes to be a gun AFL player. They really just need to find a position for him where they can unlock that. I think across half back, he's going to be able to get a little bit more of the football, but be a bit more deadly when he gets up the ground here on the wing. And as I said, you've got Jack Graham there, who's more of that defensive transitional mid, a guy that's, very accountable when he goes inside and can play on those offensive players for the opposition, play on those guys and add leadership in there. That's what they brought him in from Richmond in the past as well. So if I go into the forwards here, I've gone a little bit different. I think some people would argue with this. I've gone as the two high forwards there, Tyrell Dua and Liam Baker. Now, Liam Baker has expressed his want to play in a more stable position in 2026. Again, like I sort of said with Willem Duursma and Tom McCarthy, I don't think with the quality that's come into that back half that he's best suited there. And I think West Coast really do lack these smaller type forwards. Liam Baker's someone that has the competitiveness and the robustness to be able to play that high forward role. He's got the work rate to get up to stoppage. He's got the speed to get up to stoppage and then run you back towards goal. So I think his skill set really does play into this role, and the competitiveness that he brings, he's going to be able to get into contest as well and actually be involved in those early chains, those source chains, get it out to the likes of Tyrell Dua, who has that speed back at goal and has that creativity, the ball used to kick the ball inside forward 50. The two pillars that they will be kicking towards are Jobe Shanahan and Jake Waterman. Waterman's their best key position forward. He's been, all Australian in the past. He was still, from a goals per game perspective, he was our leading goal kicker last season. So he's going to be so important to get back into this team and get more wins on the board. I've gone for Jack Williams as the third key position forward. I'm not 100% sure about this one. I think you could play someone like a Ryan Marich in this role, but I think Jack Williams, I was impressed with the games that I saw of him in 2025, and I think this works from a balance point of view. Waterman and Shanahan can both get up the ground, and I think Williams is a little bit more of that kind of, he can stay at home a little bit more and just marks the football really, really well, so he brings something a little bit different. I think that works. And then you've got Jamie Cripps, who mostly I'm rewarding here for the leadership and the competitiveness that he brings, but he was also the leading goal kicker for West Coast in 2025. So I think there's something in that. And I think when he's working with Liam Baker, with Dua, he's kind of just at the bottom of packs. He's closer to goal, so he doesn't have to have that extreme work rate that he's had in the past. I think he'll be really good and just be a calm head when they have those opportunities inside forward 50. Bailey Williams off the bench as that second ruck, which means if we go over to the interchange, there is no Archer Reed in this side at the moment. He'll have to work himself in over Bailey Williams. I've gone for him as a little bit more of that natural forward. You see here, Graham is off the bench. Williams is off the bench. Yo's more of that halfback option, but he will play midfield, of course, at times, particularly for leadership and just giving Harley Reid a little bit of a chop out. I think he'll unlock him on some level. I have gone with Hamish Davis because I like the positional flexibility. I think he can play wing. He's a good runner and he can play off that high half forward role as well, which I think West Coast don't have a lot of. I prefer the speed of Dua and Baker, but Hamish Davis will be a key player there. And he's got a bit more marking ability and a bit more size than those other guys as well. And then I have gone with the experience of Tim Kelly. I know some West Coast fans would probably prefer to see Tim Kelly maybe moved on, but I just think he offers some experience and some quality on the ball that they don't necessarily have. I mean, they have Elijah Hewitt and Harley Reid are excellent players. Tom McCarthy is going to bring that ball use, but at his best, Tim Kelly has been a Rolls Royce of a midfielder on the ball. So I think he still has something to offer. In his back end of 2025, it was pretty good as well, which moves us on to the players that are missing out here. So Liam Duggan, the captain of West Coast, I have not got him in the team. I feel like with the defenders that have come into this side in Starcevic, Josh Lindsay, you bring Brady Hoff back into the defense. I just don't think there's room for him anymore. I think what Lindsay offers is going to be there for the next 10 to 15 years, but also Lindsay just offers a little bit better ball use. He's more surgical and complements the modern game a little bit better than someone like a Liam Duggan. I think there's still, unless there was an injury crisis, I think there's still enough leadership in this team that they don't need to bring in a Duggan, and I think they can probably move the captaincy off him and just have him as a reserve option at this point. Ryan Marich doesn't get in the team. He's probably fighting with someone like a Hamish Davis as a winger. You've got, Elliot Yo's injury concerns. If he doesn't make the team, I would say Ryan Marriage could be the next one in off a half back line as well. But there's also that Jack Williams spot as the third key position forward. Ryan Marriage could play that as well, and he's an unlucky one to miss. Bo Allen is the next one, who's a positionally flexible player, but probably just doesn't have a spot in this team. And I've opted to go with Hamish Davis over him. Probably the same could be said about him with Elliot Yeo. He could play across half back, but just hasn't really nailed down a position and will have to work his way into this team with good waffle form. Archer Reed doesn't make it. He's kind of the third banana behind Bailey Williams and Matt Flynn. Always, I just don't think gets in this team. I think there's players with more quality and more upside ahead of him. Brockman the same. And then you've got CDT, who is a talking point here. I think he works his way into the team as the season goes along, but we'll have to, learn some things about the system, about McQualter's system in the waffle for at least the first half of the season. And then I expect him to start to get some games. Even playing as a winger or a midfielder, I think at time, he doesn't necessarily have to be that second ruck yet, CDT, but just let him kind of, don't have the pressure on him. Just let him sort of bleed into the waffle a little bit before he gets into the AFL and has that pressure, I think is a good idea. Sam Allen's on the knee, so he'll take a while. Tyler Williams, I think, can play a role in the next few seasons and probably has that Jamie Cripps role when he does eventually retire. Long doesn't make it for me yet, nor does Tom Gross, but could play a role as the season goes on and players pick up injuries, etc. He'll be a good depth option. And then there's that talking point of the three new recruits, the experienced recruits in McRae, Robertson, and Schoenberg, who I've spoken to Jesse from True Eagle about this a lot across the season. I think those guys predominantly come in to begin with just to fill out the waffle team, to bring some more quality to that waffle team, so that when you're playing guys like Sam Allen, like Tyler Williams, like CDT, they have some experience to look up to. They're more competitive at that level, and it ultimately helps your development overall. So they'll be super, super important. I assume that they'll get games as the season goes along, but I don't think they're necessarily going to add to the senior team and add to wins in the short term. So I think they start in the waffle, and when injuries are picked up, they might come in and play roles. Guys, do me a massive favor and like and subscribe to the channel. I've been pretty slack on this stuff across the last couple of seasons. So if you haven't subscribed, I know a lot of you haven't, click the subscribe button, give the video a like. It massively helps me out, and I'll see you in the next one.